Hey guys, this is your host, Kavaski Irvin with Humming Pod. Thank you so much for tapping in with us. We're going to be talking a little bit about our special podcast made for part one and part two over the Den of Kings. Look, we looked at Den of Kings with Kirk Franklin, James, or not James, but Jonathan Majors, Ray J, NLE Chopper, and what was the other guy? Dr. Barnett. And we had Kev on stage as well on. So we're going to be looking at that. And we're going to talk about some of the perspectives that I noticed. I want to look at the perspectives and talk about the things that the men said, because that's what I see as valuable. That's where I see value. And as simple as that. I mean, I want to keep it right there. One thing that we can all do is notice when another man is giving his effort. Another man tries. Because in 2025, effort beats talent. Because talent, a lot of times, doesn't work hard and doesn't put the effort in. And that's unfortunate. Effort will beat talent out. And so the thing is, we don't want to get too much background sound there. But the thing is, I'm here and I'm a black man. This was a podcast for black men alike. Shout out to all of those guys for being vulnerable, being open, and being willing to share their experiences and the things that they go through and grow through, from singleness, marriage, spirituality, um, addictions, and trauma. Certain things that they talked about. Let us first focus on NLE. We're not going to try to keep this too long. NLE Chopper. What are my takes on him and his perspective? Okay, he is an awesome young man. His transformation has been wonderful. He has transformed from a almost boisterous perspective to a very intellectual and grasping, a holding perspective. Holding because of, like, we see there is room to acknowledge, room to cherish, room to love. Not just like every person that he sees, time to destroy. Not that every person that he encounters, time to destroy. But when there's room for encounter and to grasp, it's like when he sees people, now he values their walk in life. They have a unique walk in life, and now he values that. And that comes with time. We of course, and that was a big point in the video, but we'll get to that. He talks. He's very powerful in his thoughts. His mind is very powerful, and when he says something and comes from a perspective, it's well needed and much needed to hear. People really need to hear his perspective because it is not the same as people are used to. People think everything has to be the same in order for it to be valuable. That is not the case. And many black men have never spoken out because many black men with powerful perspectives have, as we can see and as we know through history, have had their voices taken from them, silenced them, and they've been killed in the midst of their empowerment. So as we see this new age of life coming forward, we need more men with voices to speak because we don't know everybody's voices. We don't know what it looks like for a young black man to have a voice and for that voice to grow with him as he grows up. We don't know it because as we've seen, many black men have lost their lives. And I want to say thank you, NLE Chopper, for giving us your time, for giving us your voice, giving us the things that you spoke about because they were valuable. They are valuable. You are valuable. Thank you, brother. Because where I come from, the mental rate, I know some men do live longer lives, but the mental capacity of the men where I come from, where they kind of just reach the top, and just cut it off, a lot of times that openness gets closed at around 16, 17. And a lot of men just live with that same type of thought process as they grow up. It might be lower than what I just said, but maybe 14, you feel me? But as they grow up, they just stop thinking outside the box and stop thinking that God can do something new. He can always do something new in our lives. No matter if you're 60, 70, 80, 90, he can do something new and show you new things. I've seen older people in my community open their hearts and be willing to help others around them according to God's plan and not their own plan. Now, let's move over to the doctor. The doctor really was necessary for the panel. He made everybody feel comfortable because he was coming from this world, but also this world. He was a perfect blend of both because he was willing to put his past aside and let the men he was just simply willing to put his past aside according to he's standing now in power. And as he stood now in power, his perspective weighed heavy in the room, and everybody felt comfortable according to the way that they felt on the inside. It feels good to have a doctor around. That's why we would see Jonathan Majors at times refer to him as Doc, because he knew, hey, this is Doc right here. Like, it's a doctor in the room. I'm comfortable. I know I'm going through something, but this black man is a doctor. He can experience. He knows what I'm experiencing is not fake. And so the Doc had his level of chat, his level of talk was very, very articulate, if you know what I mean. It was like he would talk, but he was very good at landing the plane, taking off, landing the plane, taking off, landing the plane, taking off, landing the plane. And he gave people the openness to talk too. So I really appreciated his perspective in the panel. Now let's go over to Ray J. Ray J was very wise. He had a wisdom that was very a lived wisdom. And I thank him for the light-hearted lessons that he gave, even though I know it was very hard for him to intake some of the things that were said. So his wisdom was very live. And one thing I can look back and say, because it's been a few days and I've done a lot between the time of watching these, but one thing I can say is that once he had the spotlight, he was willing to deliver what he felt on the inside. At times, it felt like he wanted to put the pause on and say, "No, this is not the time or the place." But he was willing to walk through it and say, and put that aside, because look, this is real life. If he a streamer, if he want to make music, if he want to continue his life moving forward, you got to be able to swallow those pills, those tough pills, and move past them. Because if you can't, then you're limiting yourself, limiting God, and saying God can't do it, and God ain't gonna do it. Sure, if I ain't gonna do it, God can't do it. If I ain't gonna do it, God won't do it. So it's not about you. Put yourself aside and allow God to do something new. You feel me? Put yourself aside, allow him to do something new. And I think Ray J was doing a very good job of that. And he had a little bit of disagreement with NLE Choppa's perspective, simply because he is so young, and Ray J did experience those things at a young age. But Choppa was on the more brink of, maybe you didn't trust something at a certain period in your life that was supposed to be trusted. And right now I'm at that time and I'm doing it. And I want to be able to do it well. And I want to make it all the way to the ending or to the final with that perspective of me doing it well. So let me show you what it looks like, Ray J, to do it. And Ray J was like, oh man, it seems like this young man could do it. And the way he was headed, everybody gonna try to take him down from this pedestal. God put him on, shined the light on him, and everybody coming for him. And feel like Ray J almost had like a sadness in his heart because he knew what this young man was going to experience. Now let's go over to Kev on stage. So Kev, I don't know much about him in according to his work, but I do know his skits, and some of those skits are funny. He talked about his wife, and as we know, family is very important to him. Family means everything to this man, and it's made this man who he is now. And we can see that when he talked about his brother. When he talked about his brother, we saw it. Because not only did he talk about his brother, but he talked about the relationship with his wife. He talked about the status of his family, how he sees his family, and all those involved. And the funeral, he talked about everything. And we knew that he experienced this stuff. This was a real experience for him. Like walking in this experience all the way to the finish line. And not only is he doing that, but he's still in it. And proud to be a reflection of his brother's legacy, of his life, and he's doing it well. So I think Kev on stage represented in this instance, I think what he represented for the panel was, I think he was the rock of the panel. He was the rock. And according to him, yes, he was the rock because in many ways he did exemplify the rock. So I believe he was the rock of the panel. Now, let us move over to Jonathan Majors. Now, Jonathan, to me, seemed to have many aha moments. Aha. I'm not in this alone. I'm a black man, but I'm not in this alone. Aha. My wife loves me, and my brothers experienced this too. So they know, like from Kirk Franklin knows, Kev knows. And that's beautiful. Because these guys I've known for quite a while. They know what I'm experiencing on the inside of me. Aha. I'm not just a powerful black man. Because when I look at NLE, look at Ray J, look at Doc over here, they've accomplished a lot. But they also feel like I feel on the inside. They feel like I feel on the inside. They feel that weight. But they feel it too. It's a weight. Let's go. And I believe that Jonathan Majors felt that. He felt that that pressure being lifted because what did happen to him was public, but who he is wasn't pressed forward. And Kirk did talk about that. He said he has a problem with people talk about the process of you, but they don't talk about the healing of you. If that be the quote that he said. And he said he has a problem with that. And so they'll talk about see you here and here and here, but they won't talk about how you want to get better or how you want to change or how you want to work it out or these types of things. They only talk about look at this version of you. You'll never change. You'll never be better. You'll never do better. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be sitting here and happy with what you got now. That's not the case. That's not the case. Because a lot of us don't have a lot now anyway. And so what we have is just a little bit anyway. So we wanna grow. And a lot of times we want to completely shift into a whole new lifestyle. We don't have the lifestyle that curates anything about us sometimes. And so that's what Kirk Franklin was pointing out. So Jonathan Majors to me represented he really represented the little brother. Jonathan Majors represented the little brother on the panel who was well rooted. He's rooted in truth, but he is the little brother, and he is seeing things like never before according to the level that he's at. So in a different room, he might be big brother, but in this room, he was little brother to me. Now, Kirk Franklin on the panel was a good friend, a very good friend. Very good friend. And when he talked about his wife, when he talked about what he goes through with her, I really related, even though I'm not married. I related as a black man. Sometimes I don't feel adequate according to the girlfriend that I have, and I feel like what's gonna be the make or break moment for her to finally decide to move on, you know. But I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about me as a failure. I don't want to think about me as not making it happen. I want to think about me as being the light in her life, the love in her life, making it to the finish line, running full speed. That's what I want to think about. But it's not always the case. It's not. So let us be realistic as we learn and achieve. And shout out to y'all for tapping into the Humans of the Ocean Science podcast. But shout out to y'all for tapping in to Humming Pod with your boy Kavosky Irvin. And I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.